Hey guys, today with the topic, dating your ex again after the breakup and no contact. A miracle has happened and you have brought your ex to show interest in you again and consequently go out with you again. No kidding, it's not a miracle and hopefully it's not solely due to your persuasive skills, but also partly started from herself. You know how I feel about manipulation and that you can't convince your ex of you in the long run. She must have the time and space after the separation to come to her own conclusion that she may have made the wrong decision. But I just assume the best case scenario, no contact on your part, you're better than ever, you're on top of things and you have goals in mind. Out of the blue your ex messaged you and you did everything right. You weren't too upset, you were mature and reacted appropriately to the situation, but you also didn't make it too easy for her and didn't get upset about the past. You exchanged pleasantries and her interest was there, which is why you asked if you would like to meet again sometime. That, or maybe a little before that, is the point where I jump into your perfect world and tell you how best to move on. Because now is pretty much the most critical point if you really want to get back together with her. Everything before that was hard. You had to stay away from her, work on yourself, suppress the impulse to allow memories and thoughts or at least limit them, so that you could get out of your emotional hole again. You've done that, and now I'm telling you, the hardest part is yet to come. But do not worry. This is also the basic message that I want to give you in every situation and a quality that you should have learned in no contact. There is one basic rule that you must always remember when dealing with your ex and that is, be congruent, that is, act in accordance with your thoughts and feelings, but don't give too much too quickly. Let her do what feels like 80% of the work in the beginning, because that's the only way you'll see exactly what she wants and not lose any attraction to you that may arise right away. Where was I? The point where I jump back into your story. So, she contacted you and either directly addressed what she wants or came to you with the indirect direct approach. There is also a video about this. The short version, she writes or addresses you directly. Without a chance meeting or something organizational to discuss. Something like, when was the birthday of this or that friend again, or, have you seen my yellow t-shirt? Anything completely stupid out of the blue that you might not exactly ask your ex right now. Alright, don't freak out now. You can be happy, dance or jump around your apartment like a crazy person if you have to. But when you have your cell phone in your hand again and want to write back, please be reasonably calm and serious. First of all, when should you write back? You were or are still in no contact. In general, coaches recommend you to wait a while until you send an answer. I find this generally childish, especially if you have already received a read confirmation. On the other hand, these coaches are right somewhere. Only you should not play that. You should really have something to do and not look at your cell phone every half hour. Sorry for the sermon in between. If you have read this, you can also write back. But after that, put the phone away and do something else. This also keeps you from sitting in front of it, as if delirious, hoping for their reaction or an answer. The neediness that can come up is your biggest enemy. If you haven't read it yet, do so. Read her text carefully and maybe let it sink in for 10 minutes first. Don't overanalyze it. Rather, make sure you keep a clear head and think about the appropriate response that best reflects her interest and behavior. I actually don't know any woman who immediately comes back to you with 50 smileys after weeks of no contact. Usually, they first look carefully to see how you react to them. That is, adult is the best word that comes to mind when I think of a suitable reaction from you. The message may with pleasure a, nice to hear from you, purely. And now it gets difficult. You have to find out for yourself if the interest is really in you and if you hear a spark of interest from their questions and what they have told you, you have to see that you can see each other somehow. The background to this is that you have built the bond you have through physical closeness. You can't show her the effect you have on her, laugh together and have fun together if you only write to each other. Also, anything you write is worth less than if she heard it later with eye contact. your presence, and directly from your mouth. These are exactly the memories you want to create with her again. Of course, you shouldn't come right out and say, "Hey, come over and I'll tell you about it." This is very close to an ultimatum or a negotiation without a basis. Write back and forth a few times before that. If you think you have a chance, or maybe she's already hinted at it herself, write something like, "This is all a bit much to write, and I'm sure you've had a lot going on. Do you want to maybe meet for coffee on Thursday or Friday night?" For better understanding, I'll explain this message to you in more detail so you know why and what you can exchange. So, the one about writing too much should be true. You have worked on yourself and keep these trump cards in your hand as much as you can, so that later on, face to face, you will have topics of conversation with her that will show her out of her interest that you have worked on yourself. Unasked, you don't reveal anything about yourself. This often happens when you want to quickly convince or impress her. You don't need to. Wait for the right moment, and it will only come when she is emotionally open to it and interested in it. By the way, appointments with psychologists are also an improvement and nothing that you have to conceal from her in direct conversation. With most of them, this is even a plus. Next, you want to schedule the appointment for an evening. You can time it and everything, but if the situation should arise that you have a lot of fun together, then you can see the whole thing in the evening more as a date, and she should. Mornings and lunches are not dates. There is a completely different atmosphere. The cafe was just an idea of mine. You can also go for a walk, invite her to your place in the evening or do something else with her. But it's important that it's just the two of you. So no cinema where you can't talk or with a crowd around you. The 2 dates I mentioned were also intentional. You want to pretend that and not ask when she has time. Because 1, you're busy and your time is valuable, and 2, you're not putting yourself back in the position where you're available to her at any time. Honestly, 2 dates should be fully enough. You can pick one then. Well, so much for that sentence. Now there are 2 possibilities. She declines or she agrees. In case she declines, you say, "Too bad, would have liked to see you again." You can get in touch if you change your mind. And then you go right back into no contact. Because with doubts, or if she does not make it easy for you, the woman brings you nothing. You would have to overinvest, and that would again lead to a worse dynamic between you. Should she do that again, write to you, show interest and then refuse a meeting, then she absolutely does not deserve your attention at the moment. She wants it for free and not on your terms. Then you make an announcement and tell her very clearly that you are not interested in a friendship with her. You tell her that she is welcome to contact you if she feels the same way, but that you don't want to keep contact with her for less. Yes, that hurts. But you don't want to be shunted off into the friend zone. That is the worst thing that can happen to you. For something like this, you have real friends and don't need someone who only gets in touch when he is bored and who is not really interested in you. But let's assume the other possibility. We have to make some progress here. So, she says yes. Somehow the next happy dance would be appropriate. Tell yourselves that you are looking forward to it and mentally prepare yourselves for it. How do you want to be when you meet them? That's right, grow up again. You should not suppress your joy or behave differently than you are and feel inside. But the right start would be to approach her with a smile, give her a quick hug before you go out to eat or do anything else. You don't want to run towards them, not being able to control your face and not being able to make a sound at the end. But that's what no contact was there to prepare you for. You found out exactly your and her mistakes in the last relationship and worked on your part. You brought her down from her pedestal and became less needy towards her. You have so much more value than you did then. There is nothing to be afraid of in this situation right now. Be open to her during the meeting. Have fun, and for heaven's sake, don't talk about your relationship problems from back then. You just want to focus on the future and what happened after your bad time. You want her to get reassurance from you that it wasn't wrong for her to date you. You should also have enough topics to fill the evening, if you haven't already told her everything via WhatsApp beforehand. There's one more thing: cell phones are only for dating. In relationships that might be something else, but you want to share as much as possible. Live with her right now and create beautiful memories with her again. If it fits, you should also flirt with her again or use beautiful insiders from before. Be yourselves. Especially in situations where she appreciated you in the past. Let's not fool ourselves there, she did. She knows you, and the one she knows or the one she loved had less on it than you do now. Just don't let the situation go to sleep. Remember, it's a date, and on another level, act like you have a new woman sitting in front of you with whom you don't share a great past. She will notice, and you will be able to form an image of her. Purely on the basis that dating is qualification. It is important that you find out her current state and motives. Coach Corey Wayne says about such an evening that you should create a fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen. This refers to the setting of the date, as well as the tension between the two of you. The attraction between you should be there, and you need to maintain it as best you can. If she only sees you as a friend and you make bad jokes all the time to lighten up the situation, then everything will be lost little by little. The romance between you, the attraction, and your chances. She needs to see you as a man, and you need to see her as a woman. No, hey, well, how are you, kiss right, kiss left. No, more like, me Tarzan, you Jane. Just a little more sensitive. You know what I mean. And quite a few actually end up in bed together, but there's nothing wrong with that if it doesn't happen right away. Every situation is different. Depending on how the meeting went, you may have to put the brakes on a little bit. Make it clear that you have only seen each other once. Keep the meetings going and don't write too much back and forth. Even this writing in everyday life you should not start from you. As mentioned earlier, she still has to show you that she wants you, and you need to be able to justify it to yourself that you are giving her this attention. We are talking about giving, not giving her that attention. That ship has sailed. She should be getting back to you about 80% of the time, and you must not over-text or double-text. Go to the cell phone, set up your next meeting, and then have 5 text messages a day. That's how it used to be. That's exactly how you behave now. And these are not novels that you write to them, but yes and no answers. At most with a short text to explain. But short and sweet. The cell phone is your mortal enemy, which you briefly hold in your hand at most once an hour, like a grenade with a pulled pin. There is nothing that can lower a woman's interest faster than a guy who sends her everything via text and is always available for her. I hope I was able to give you a good description of that part of the process and make you feel a little more confident about it. Take care and see you in the next video.